Hello, I'm Regina Hess, and welcome to Women and Wealth series. And I have a new friend with me. And Stacey, do you want to tell us who you are, what you do, and what you love about what you do?
Oh, yes. I love the freedom to some degree of what I do and the opportunity to work with so many different people. So what we do, and I say we because I have a whole team that supports this concept, is we primarily work with leaders, helping them increase their awareness of how much influence they really have rather than what they believe to be true. And Regina, we do that all through their communication, how they show up non-verbally, how they show up with their messaging. And from there, we take them, literally elevate them to a whole nother level. Been doing it for 24 years, which doesn't even seem possible. So we break it up into several services. I mentor quite a few executives around the topic of influence. I started my career out presenting. So I still do a lot of keynoting at big sales conferences and leadership conferences. Then my team goes into our client sites, goes into organizations, and does these deep dive workshops that really show the change in people's behaviors and the results that they get.
Wow, that's a lot of impression, like amazing work.
It's fun. It's fun. And the amazing part is it truly does work. So what's so cool is to get a chance to interact with someone who already is a great communicator. They're effective, they're super successful in their work. And then to just literally elevate them to a whole nother level that they don't even realize is possible.
So powerful. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. So how did you stumble into this? How did you wind up in this field? And I mean, I'm so captivated by what you're doing.
Yeah, stumble. I think I did stumble a little bit because Regina, you would laugh. I started my career out in radio. I wanted to
Okay.
be, like the next DJ and stuff. And the big aha was I received a call from the radio station I was working with at the time. Received a call the night before, and they said, "Well, you're going to record your first commercial." And I was brand new. I was out of college, total oblivious. And I thought, record a commercial? I'll be done by like in 2 hours. That's all it's going to take. And it took me all day. And then I realized, wow, just because I think I'm good has nothing to do what reality states and how the power of your voice, the volume, the tone, the messaging, the words, how much that matters, especially when people can't see you. From radio, I went into the corporate world. I landed a job pretty early in my career hiring speakers. And I would hire
Mm.
speakers for our big events that we had. And I started to have them coach me. And I thought, wow, I want to do that. I just don't know what that's going to look like. Therefore, several large corporate jobs along the way. I managed, though, to always be in their learning and development department. And therefore, I got to train on a lot of different topics I should never have been training on because I had no idea what I was doing. But the one thing I figured out pretty quickly was if I was training leaders on like customer service or time management, it didn't matter how smart they were on the topic if they could not communicate effectively. And that was really the big transition of realizing, wow, communication really is the core to everything we do. But the big thing that's holding us back from having consistent influence is our lack of awareness. Majority of us, we just tend to tie if I feel good, if I'm comfortable in a communication situation, my credentials, my years of experience. We fool ourselves to believe all of that determines the level of influence we have. And that couldn't be farther from the truth.
I believe that for wholeheartedly. And talking about getting up on that stage and presenting and the power of your words and the power of how you say those words, I think resonates. I think with a lot of people because you could deliver the same message several different ways
Yes.
just by the way your voice inflection or your tone of voice or how you say those words and how they're received is different with each of those aspects.
And we don't know. We just go off of, I feel good. I can't tell you, Regina, how many times I'll have a leader say to me, well, I feel really comfortable communicating. Well, that doesn't mean you're influential. Just because you think
Yeah.
you're comfortable doesn't guarantee you have the level of influence you have. And it's exactly what you're saying, Regina. My team and I, we talk a lot about, I mean, we really break apart. There's like 10 behaviors, 10 delivery skills, think body language, that most of us, we never give thought to. That's just one component of communication. Then the whole other side is, as you're pointing out, it's the words. And
Hmm.
now with the hybrid world that we're in, it's noisy. You're really trying to break through your listeners' noise and everything that they're dealing with and the multitude of conversations they're having, that every word really does matter, making sure that every word resonates with their knowledge level of your topic, most importantly, the direction you want the conversation to go, which is where the influence happens.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. It's a lot to
Yeah.
think about. We don't, because I think it's, again, it's common sense communication. It's common sense. We do it every day. To really do it well is not common practice.
So true.
Right?
That is so true. Oh my goodness. And so, do you have a specific niche or like type of um, person or executive that you do work with?
Mhm. We don't have a niche industry simply because everyone communicates. We have a niche within industries. It's exactly what you're saying. It's usually director and above, so director
Okay.
to the CEO. And we work a lot with sales professionals. Why? Well, those two are the profit centers of any company.
Absolutely.
Right. Exactly. And they're the ones that are the brand of the company most of the time. They're the ones that are the front and center. They determine based on how they interact with their clients or customers, how clients experience them. That's really going to determine the profit of the company. And you
Oh,
can
for
have,
sure.
right? You can have the great numbers. Like we do a lot of work in the financial arena, like with a hedge fund company, for example. And a lot of times they'll say to us, their consultants, we're having a really great year. The numbers are showing it. We're good. We're good. We're obviously doing well. I'm like, but that doesn't stay consistent. The numbers do not predict who you are. The numbers don't predict your personal brand and how people perceive you. So it's a fun industry. Our industry, it's fun to be in because we get to work with so many different industries that you're like, there's a job for that. There's actually a company for that. But what I also like about it, Regina, is the fact that you can be an attorney, you can be in sales, you can be in marketing. The majority, that all the research that we continue to do and roll out, it's always the same challenges. And even as we work in an international market, we'll be working with someone way on the other side of the world, and they still have very similar communication challenges,
Mm.
which tells you, ties it back to what I said earlier. It really is the core to everything that we do. It's just we're lack of awareness to how to do it effectively.
No, that is key though. Doing anything and doing it effectively are two totally different things.
Right. We can't go through the motions. I do a lot of analogies with athletes or sports because if you think about any sport, that's all muscle memory and improving, enhancing how you communicate. That's all muscle memory. And I
Yeah.
was working with an individual who used to be a professional rugby player.
Mm.
And he said it best because he said, if we after a game and we realize, well, we need to do a new play, a new formation on the team. We didn't put a PowerPoint slide together and then evaluate the PowerPoint slide. We got out on the field and we ran the new play over and over and over and over. And our whole purpose of the work that we do is we have people practice over and over and over. And I keep saying to them, the great thing about coming when you talk about elevating your influence, every interaction you have is an opportunity to practice. So it's
Mhm.
not like you have to carve out 1 o'clock on a Tuesday. And this every Tuesday, I'm going to practice how I communicate. Now, it's more if you really want to be authentic, you're doing it all the time. You're practicing with your family and friends. You're practicing on the multitude of work conversations that you have. And that's something our unique approach where when a client reaches out to us and might say, help my executive team prepare for a big investor meeting, we'll say to them, we're going to help them on how they communicate day in and day out. And then we'll build up to when the stakes are really high. And you get my point here, Regina, just with the
Yeah.
years of experience that you've had, you can't turn this stuff on right before a big investor meeting or whatever the situation may be. True authenticity and true trust is built off of authenticity. That's because who you are is how you communicate all the time. It's
So
not something
true.
you turn on, turn off.
No, so true. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking of a presenter, and he's an owner of a huge financial company. Anytime he speaks, people are literally sitting on the edge of their seat, and you're like, wow, he has charisma. But it's not just that. He has worked on that. He has perfected it. He has put the time and the energy into that to make it appear that he just goes up there and does his thing and walks off the stage.
And that's when you know the true work has gone in behind the scenes, when someone truly does make it flawless. And this was so early in my career. This was years ago. I was at a pharmaceutical company, and the sales professionals in the room with me all morning long, they kept talking about their VP of sales. She's
Mhm.
born with these skills. She's so natural, right? And I'm just letting them talk. I'm thinking, there's no way she's born with it. I happened to run into the in the hallway. I ran into her during our break. And I said to her, you need to come in the room. Would you come in the room and share with the group, what are you doing behind the scenes where no one sees? And she shared, it was even more in depth than I thought, just the amount of focus and coaching that she had received, so that anytime someone interacted with her, there was consistency. They always knew they were going to get the best of her. And that, I guess
Amazing.
that's the positive thing is, you could practice 24/7 a day because you're always communicating in some capacity. The downside is, if you truly want to elevate your influence, it's a journey. There's no destination. There's no, okay, I am forever influential. I never have to deal with this one again. I'm on to the next thing. It's a true athlete mindset when it comes to improving your influence.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So if people wanted to learn more about you and what you're doing, where would they go to find more info out?
Yeah, we are big believers in social media, which you can find all of our channels on our website. It is my full name, Stacey with an EY, HANKEINC.com. And I just launched book number 3 literally last week. So all the new stuff is out on the website and it's all there. Really, there's a lot of complimentary resources on that website too, so that we can be a resource from afar.
Oh, well, congratulations on the book. I
Yeah.
know that's a labor of love too.
It is. You get it,
Been there,
right?
done that.
At this point, a week after launch, it's like a love-hate relationship right now. And
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
good.
exciting because it really is 4 years of our research of how influence has changed and what it really takes now for leaders to influence.
Yeah, no, totally for sure. Um, so impressive. I love this conversation. So, one of the questions that I love to ask is, and I'm curious what your answer is to this, is what are some of the challenges that you have faced as a professional woman?
Oh man, how much time do we have? Okay, let me try. I'm going to categorize on the fly. Categorize on the fly. The, I remember when I was really starting to get out there, it was the comments of
Mm,
being a female, the success that I had early on in my career. However, it was all the work that I put into it. There was questioning about that. There was questioning about my age. I
mm,
started really young. I was oblivious, Regina. I thought, I live in Chicago. What's the worst thing that can happen? If this gig on my own doesn't work out, I'll work at one of the Starbucks that are everywhere. I truly, that's the way I thought. So I was
mm.
young. I started off very young. So there was a lot of pushback on that. And maybe on the silver lining, I think because of some of the negative feedback on how I looked, my youth, that pushed me. And I knew I had the skills. Most importantly, I knew I had the drive. I knew that I had the drive and determination to make this work. So it was a silver lining. The second
Yes.
challenge that I have is I like anyone, I can get into my head. I have an entire team that I need to financially support and motivate. So I tend to make the error of putting them first before myself. And when that happens, that's not good either. I mean, you know this as a CEO, you are only as successful as you are taking care of yourself mentally, physically, your health. So that's always a constant challenge of putting myself first. I'm not used to that. I'm tending to put everyone else first. And then the third one, it's kind of crazy. A lot of it is how I grew up. I grew up on a farm in central Wisconsin, and as a farm girl, you just worked hard. That is so ingrained in me that I don't know how to sit back and relax when there's times I should. And
Mhm.
it's just the constant foot on the pedal because in my head, as great as we have done this year, and years past, there's still that voice of you got to work hard because it can be taken away from you at any moment.
Oh my goodness, we are in each other's heads. That's what I think all
Are
the
we?
time.
When you go there, you can call me if you're in your head. Now, see if I can talk you out of it. Like I need to talk myself out of it. But it's just, and there's silver linings to that to some
Yeah.
degree. But there's also at this point in my career, I've been doing this for 24 years. I would love to at this point, I have to work really hard to take days off. I have to work hard to find moments in my day where it's okay to take a lunch hour and my company's not going to fall apart. So I think that is more, it's such a habit ingrained in me. It's my
Mhm.
job now to just change that habit and
Love it.
enjoy more of what I've created.
I love it. I love it. I have a feeling you're going to say I'm never going to retire, but my last question is what's your retirement vision?
Yeah, my retirement vision would definitely be, so we have three areas in my company. It's the keynoting, we do the mentoring, and then the workshops. It would be to really bring someone on to really handle all the workshops. I want to walk away from that completely eventually. And if my team watches this, they're going to freak out and be like, oh, when are you doing that? Not in the near future, excuse me. I really foresee myself. I've created the career that to keynote and especially mentoring, I can do that for quite a long time, but do it on my demands. When I walk away, I really want to, I can see myself serving on boards that mean a lot to me and really help young men and women in their presence and their communication to help them get places. I've seen what working on my communication has gotten, not just for me, but what it's done for everyone on my team and how successful my team is, not just with me, but outside of our company. That I would love to really help younger generations do that earlier
That-
in their career than what I did.
yeah, yeah, that's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
We'll see. We'll
Well,
see how
yeah,
long it'll take
yeah,
me to walk that line of saying,
I
okay, I'm
know.
good now. Because
I,
don't you
I
think
it
too? I mean, the downside of being an entrepreneur is you just have such an inner fire and drive and passion. Like I'm not doing this for the income by any means. I do this because I see the value of what we do, and I truly love having impact in people's lives. It's just what keeps me running every day.
yeah. Oh, I can see it. Yeah, that's amazing. Amazing. I love it. Love it. And that's a great thing about in our world now versus 20, 30, 40 years ago. We have a lot more options as women, especially.
Do.
But the retirement vision has changed drastically. It's not just like I'm going to retire and sit on the front porch in my rocking chair. It's like, well, I'm going to do this instead. This is something a passion that I've wanted to follow up on. And, that's what I'm going to do. So I love asking that question because everyone has like a little bit different vision for themselves, which is beautiful.
I love that you asked that. I do a lot of podcasts and I have never been asked that. And it's
Mm.
funny because the people in my circle, especially all the people that are speakers, professional speakers in my circle, they have such a passion that it really takes a lot for people to retire from it.
True,
There's a lot of longevity in
true.
this industry, but I think it takes a certain person to really have that desire to when you know that you've got an impact, and it's because you have found that purpose. You and I are so blessed that I have found this. I mean, I work with a lot of leaders who are in job searches and just really unhappy, and they're counting the days to retirement. I never, ever want to count the days to retirement. And I have some friends that are planning on retiring very early. So now they're asking me, so when are you retiring? I'm like, seriously, how well do you know me?
I know when you said you lived on a farm and worked hard and you can't
Yes.
even, take lunch. I'm like, oh, she's never going to retire.
Yeah, right, right. We are now taking lunch. So that is, that's been the boundary, which is good.
Yes, we do have to have boundaries. So I think our action item today is to find your purpose
Yeah.
for people who are, working and, or not working. Find your purpose because it really does add a lot of value to your own life as well.
And something I've shared, I've coached a couple of people on this, where again, I'm not the life coach by any means. You don't want me coaching you on that. But someone had brought up something not too long ago, someone I was mentoring, and they're struggling with their purpose and they're pretty far in their career. And I said to them, I go, when it comes to purpose, that doesn't have to just be your job is the number one purpose.
Right.
You can easily have something else in your personal life that might be tied, you're a volunteer or you're on a board. I think that's where that's starting to become more of a well-known for us, because in years past, it was always your purpose is your job, your purpose is your job. Not necessarily. Your purpose might be something with your children. It might be something with your community. But
Yes.
it's, don't limit it to just that one thing. Because I look at some of the individuals on my team, my instructors, yeah, they're out on the road for me and they're running around. But a lot of them, their real big purpose is something in their personal life, which then strengthens what they do professionally.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is great advice. Great advice. Well, thank you so much for being on this podcast. It's been so fun learning more about you and your business.
You are welcome, and thank you. I know you've got a choice of who you bring on here, so thank you for trusting me with your followers, and looking forward to just staying in contact with you too and learning more about your success.
Oh, absolutely. We're definitely like-minded, so we have to keep in contact.
Good.
And I want to thank everyone else for joining us because I know there's a lot of podcasts out there, and we appreciate that you listen to ours. Again, I'm Regina Hess, president of Forge Wealth Management. My website is forgewealth.com, and I'm on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube at Forge Wealth, and LinkedIn, Regina Hess. Go make it a great day.